Alrighty. There we go. How you been, KJ? It's been a minute.
I've been good. I want to start with talking about how Sam and I's little back and forth. Amid the struggles at the beginning of this series, I just want to know, Sam. This is behind the scenes a little bit in our chat. I think Sam and I were equally lost men, but I decided just to go like full out crazy, like whatever, let's do it. And Sam was more in depression mode. But I don't know. I want to get your perspective on it, Sam, because I was just, let's just go. No other choice. Just let's go all out, full in. Let's make the comeback. And you were in a bad place for sure.
Yeah, I wasn't having it. I was sick of the Red Sox circle jerk on Twitter. The Celtics had done absolutely nothing to make me think they would show any fight. Thankfully, I was wrong. Very happy to be wrong. Nobody wants them to win. Well, I can't say nobody, but I must be in the top like 2% of people who want them to win. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they've showed some fight these last couple games. Jack and I were chatting a little bit, and Jack's like, "What do you think is going to happen today?" I was like, "I don't know. You literally cannot predict these guys." They just showed some awesome fight in games 4 and 5. They could very well come out tonight and just lose by 1 million and look like the team that was in the first 3 games. But also, they could impress all of us. They could force a game 7, which I feel like the longer this series goes on, like they're going to start to get proud of themselves, and then you'll see them not try again.
I hope not. I hope we avoid that. Sam and I were talking last night. We hope people forgot about this, so I'm going to ignore you, Andrew, but I appreciate you for being here.
Well,
Paul saying no Brog tonight. I assume this means no Brogdon. Yes, Brogdon is out for the game tonight. Sam said this to me before we started. He said good, and I agree. Like he's just not himself. And if he's not himself, he can't be on the court because he's been maybe the worst player that's gotten consistent playing time this series. And there's no room for players to be playing injured. If they're going to be playing injured, it's going to affect how well they can play. I said this about Jaylen Brown at the start of the series when we thought he was hurt. Not that you should completely take him out of the rotation, but like you can't be on the court if you're hurt, and clearly Brogdon's hurt, so he shouldn't be on the court. Jared said, "Nobody tell the Heat that Sam's having a good hair day." I just wanted to bring that up too.
Real quick,
It
question.
It is a good hair day for me.
Is there status on Gabe Vincent? Is Gabe Vincent playing?
He's playing. He was playing. What's today? Saturday. He was playing Thursday. As soon as the game ended Thursday, he was playing. There has been that was the first thing Jack said to me. He said, "Do you think Gabe Vincent's playing?" I'm like, "Yes, Gabe Vincent's playing.
Gabe Vincent's starting."
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have put my house on. I think I put it the other day.
He's starting.
Yeah.
No, and I assume it stemmed from when he appeared to kind of roll his ankle in game.
He snapped his ankle.
It looked bad, but he immediately I thought, oh, they're going to stop the game, like we're taking. He just kept playing, and the moment passed pretty quickly, but I was kind of stunned in that moment. I'm like, oh, he's just still out there. I'm like, and it kind of. I will give a little bit of credit here, as much as I don't want to do it, to that kind of Heat thing where they draft tough guys, and they have a lot of tough guys on their team. And that's just the way Pat Riley's been as long as he's been in the NBA. It's about kind of toughness with his teams, and that's what was there. But I want to get back to the Brogdon thing real quick, because Jack, you talked about, good him being out, and, just from the standpoint of if he's injured. But I think, if Derrick White plays like he did in game 5, then sure. Yeah, 100%. But I think that part of their issues in those first 3 games, among the many issues that there were, was that additional playmaking. Someone out there that's, actually going to make something happen offensively and not just chug up a 3. And he should be someone that's able to do that.
He's not, though.
Health is, if health is an issue.
Not even health. Brogdon's been one of the worst playmakers on this team.
I didn't mean playmaker from the standpoint of like passer. I meant playmaker from the sense of making something happen on offense.
If the play is he's going to take the ball and shoot it and not do anything else with the ball, then yeah, Brogdon's been pretty good at that. This isn't you. This is me. Sam can attest. I've been out on Brogdon for the whole postseason run. I think Brogdon's been horrendous. If he's not shooting 50% from 3, he's hurting the offense. That's my take. Oh, well, there we go. Freeze. Sam, it's not you this time. Sam, you're not. How does it feel?
Oh, it's my mic.
Could
my my regular mic or my computer mic?
No, you're here. I made a joke. KJ was frozen. I said, "How's it feel that you're not the one frozen this time?"
I was gonna say that going back to the beginning of the season, there was the thought that Brogdon could be their third best offensive player, and I think that was an important thing at the time of thinking they have that third option. And of course, he won Sixth Man of the Year. He had a good year. I know you were talking more so about the postseason, but I still feel like it's a guy that was important, was going to be important in this series, and not having him does still scare me a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's especially scary because you don't have somebody who shot so well from three for most of the season, but this has just been not his series. And I saw someone talk about it here. Yeah, Jared saying, I appreciate a player trying to shoot themselves out of a slump, but the Eastern Conference Finals isn't exactly the best time to do it, which also true.
Not even like shooting himself out of a slump. It's like shooting himself out of a forearm tear.
Yeah, you tore a tendon.
Like, actually, you can't shoot yourself out of that. You have to rest yourself out of that. Or surgery yourself out of that.
A torn tendon, Landon, not just a sprain. Rough injury for him. Joe asking, is he or not ready yet? Andrew shutting him out. Sam, I know you've had a take on this.
I don't think he's going to play in this series now because he's not playing today, but I thought he would play today. And the reason why I think he was going to play today was because he broke his hand. He didn't break his leg. If I'm Tyler Hero.
It's a shooting hand, though. That's been my thing. Like,
I agree. Tough. Make no mistake. It's important. But his conditioning should not be a problem at this point. He very well could have been doing cardio, whether that's the bike, whether that's running, doing anything he can to keep his legs under him while he just broke his hand. I'm shocked he's not playing. I don't think they tried him out there for Game 7. They did that last year. He wasn't effective.
Yeah, I don't think he plays until the finals. I think they stick to what they said, which is interesting. Jared saying, has he considered shooting himself out of a cannon, preferably running into the sun? Well, maybe not yet. Ben in here, nervous, anxious, ahead of tip for Game 6. Paul saying something. I think the Celtics will attack Vincent to see how healthy he is. I think this is probably what they should do. I don't put too much stock into them actually doing it. Thoughts?
I hope they do.
I mean, I guess so. Because and this was a point that I think it was Zach Lowe brought up about the Heat lineup, and it was kind of that thought that the Heat are better without Tyler Hero. Is that kind of conversation that they were having, and they said, look, if the Heat don't have Tyler Hero in there, it limits their lineups where you have someone that you can pick on, and it limits it to one, maybe two guys. So when you're kind of going through the Heat lineup of like who can you pick on defensively, there aren't a lot of options. So if it's like, when it comes down to it, like a hobbled Vincent, like even if it's just a little bit hobbled, he's still, he might have been before he was injured, the guy you would pick on anyway. Now, it's even furthered. So I'd say that there's not a lot of guys to pick on. So yeah, if Vincent's even hobbled a little, that's probably what they do. And I feel like the Celtics do play that kind of basketball. I'm curious what you're saying, Jack, as far as like, you don't think they'll do it, you don't trust them to do it type of thing, because I feel like their offense for a large part of the year, you especially look at that Sixers series, trying to pick on Maxey. Like they just like trying to see, find those matchups and pick on guys. I guess a lot of teams do, but it feels like they do it a lot.
Maybe. I just think that for the large majority of this playoff run, maybe these last two games excluded, the Celtics have refused to do the right thing. It just feels like they constantly decide, this is the easiest path forward. This is the best way we should handle ourselves. And then they just do the other thing. So it was half a joke, but like it's partially what I think. This also rings true as well. We missed this. As long as the team thinks their legacy is on the line, they should be fine. If they think they're earned respect, then it's Jover.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, the longer the series goes on, like they might be like, hey, we're pretty cool. We got this far out of an 0-3 hole. Yeah. Like if they win today, even though I said to you, Jack, I think if they lose, it's going to be today. But it would be the most Celtics thing ever to force a Game 7 and then just not show up.
So, Sam, it's an interesting point because I have thought about that kind of scenario, and I feel like I was thinking in my head, if they win Game 6 and they lose Game 7, Game 7 would be I said this yesterday, it would be one of the top 5 most crushing defeats of my life.
I agree.
That because
of your life.
Because that if they win today, what's happening in Game 7. Like Ortiz is, I know you, Sam, you're not going to like them bringing the Red Sox thing back, but Ortiz is going to be there. Like, Pedro might be there. I mean, Manny, like they're going to
No, they should lean into it.
It's going to be like when remember when Drew Bledsoe was there for the
yes.
Terry.
It's going to be like that times like 5. Like that's going to be the kind of atmosphere we're going to get. And the Garden is going to be like bananas if it gets back to Game 7. So I'm going to say I feel like I'm pulling like a Sam here by saying a statement like this. This feels like a very Sam statement. But if they're going to lose, they better just do it tonight because
I said that in Game 4.
Game 7.
I said in Game 4. I literally turned to my dad and I was like, I really hope they don't win today or they win the series, and that's it. Because I'm back in. They suckered me back in. I'm all the way back. I'm like, I want them to win. I care about these games. I didn't care after Game 4. Ben saying up, and someone sent a message in the chat, so I got screwed. The Heat are meant to be giving their best punch tonight. What's the biggest change Spo will make? Maybe not a change, but just something he learned from last game. He's going to throw Highsmith out there quite a bit, I think.
Probably.
I think throughout the season did a pretty good job of guarding Tatum too, and he looked okay, somewhat comfortable doing it in Game 5. So keep your eyes on that. He's not starting. They put Martin in that starting lineup, which
I think that's a big change. I mean, that's probably the
interesting.
biggest change we'll see at face value.
I think that's an interesting move just because he's been playing so well for them off the bench. It's like almost if it ain't broke, don't fix it thing, at least for him. Like in a vacuum, he's not broke. The team might be a little broke. They just got blown out twice. So I get that, but I sure would love if him and Gabe Vincent played like him and Gabe Vincent today.
I think that Jack, I think one of the things the Heat probably want to do too is, get Bam Adebayo going. I feel like that's been a part of the secret people have mentioned is if you get Bam Adebayo going offensively, that's kind of a swing point for them, kind of a momentum type of swing for them. What do you think they can kind of do to get him going? Because it feels like the Celtics might have figured something out in terms of trying to limit Bam Adebayo a little bit.
I think maybe getting him in more pick and rolls where you force the Celtics to either scramble over or switch Al Horford onto a guard or Jimmy Butler. But like a lot of the reasons, in my opinion, at least, that Bam Adebayo was able, to play so well in the first few games of the series is just because of how poorly the Celtics defended him. Mm-hmm. Like they would overhelp. They would double too much. They would, send guys off him. Robert Williams was on him, so he would have to shift over and play that free safety role on defense. Now that Al Horford is on Bam, he's not helping over. He's not switching off. He's not doubling. He's staying on Bam Adebayo. And since Al Horford has been guarding Bam, he has been just in hell. Like Bam Adebayo has been able to do nothing when Al Horford's been on him. I tweeted out last game. I said the Celtics have Bam Adebayo in a torture chamber, and
maybe another place.
That's truly what it feels like.
Perhaps Beijing.
Bam Adebayo not playing well.
It is remarkable, and it's one of the things that makes this year important. And we might have said it last year too, but you have to wonder how much longer, in terms of how many more years you can get out of Al Horford, where he's capable of doing this type of stuff. I mean, what he did defensively against
him, get a ban?
What he did offensively against Bam Adebayo, it's impressive. And at a certain point, you have to imagine he's not going to be able to do that on the court anymore. And then you're missing a very important piece to your defense and your team. And that's part of the when you look at this team's window, maybe that's a replaceable piece. It probably is. But when you look at their championship window, that is an important thing to consider, because I feel like everybody thinks, well, Tatum and Brown are going to have a few more years, a few more cracks at this. But Al Horford isn't, and he's still a consideration. I can see you laughing a little bit. I get it.
Sorry, no, I was laughing at Liam getting a tattoo as the game was going.
That's fair. I was going to say, as long as you have Tatum Brown, you're going to be good. But it's just a small wrinkle in something else to consider.
I agree, and I mean, I've been saying this for the past 2 seasons. I think that's why you can't really let go of Grant Williams. And it's still the most ridiculous thing Joe Mazzulla has done all postseason, that he was getting DMPs. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I tweeted that out, and a lot of people said, bless you, Sam. They were like, why, I said, why was Grant Williams ever out of the rotation? People were like, well, because he sucks, because he was terrible. I'm like, he wasn't terrible. He did too much a few times throughout the season on scattered. He missed a couple free throws, and he went from playing 27 minutes to 0. That's not how it works. And so I thought that was ridiculous. And I do think he could be the succession plan to Al Horford, because as much as he's smaller, as much as he's not as big of a body, he defends centers very, very well. He can take on, not quite as athletic, no, but he's, I would argue, as crazy as it is, probably a better 3-point shooter. or Al Horford was better this season, but I mean they're at least on the same level. I would argue at this point in their career, he's a better perimeter defender. I don't know. I just think it's probably as good as they're going to get for a potential Al Horford replacement. You just don't see many guys like that in the league unless you're getting like a Jaren Jackson Jr. and they're not going to get that.
Plus, he makes a ton of money. I want to swing back to this. Game 7 loss to the Garden. We'll start Malice at the Palace 2.0. Yeah, but like with their own team. Like, they won't be fighting Miami. Like, somebody's going to be like saying something to the guys on the Celtics and getting their attention, maybe. Scrolling down a bit, we have the ever-going storyline about my hair. Now, early in the series, I was struggling to do my hair. For whatever reason, I was unable to get it the way I would like. For Game 4, turned it around. Game 5 also did a great job. And the chat today is telling me I did a good job.
Okay.
So this was a big hair day for me, a legacy hair day.
Nice.
And everyone's opinion seems to be that I showed up. So I've done my part.
I need to point something out too. What a character arc from Jimmy J. Jimmy J. I remember early doors of the season, we were fighting about Derrick White. I'm so glad you've come
all
around.
year.
This is
by the
very
way, you
true.
said.
Yeah, I know, right? But Sam had a tweet about this, and I responded to it. And I was looking at stats. A Heat fan tweeted
it was not
out,
about this.
Oh, it's about Derrick White.
Well, it was, but it was more about what the absurdity for a Heat fan to complain about somebody having a little bit of a bump in shooting percentage.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yes, I agree. And the tweet was, I'm so tired of Derrick White never missing against Miami. Career 35% and shooting 57% from deep this series. One, obscene to use Derrick's career shooting percentage as your basis because he shot 38% from this season. So it's not like 35 is just not a realistic thing to look at for the course of his how well he should be shooting this season. 2, he shot 43% throughout the playoffs. So it's not like he hasn't been hot in the postseason. And 3, he shot 33% in the Eastern Conference Finals last year against Miami. So saying he always shoots good against the Heat is just like objectively not true. And then on top of everything, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say Derrick White's had games like this season. This isn't like the first, like Derrick White, if Malcolm Brogdon is, not in consideration, Derrick White's probably their third best offensive player, but maybe their third best scorer. You might say him and Smart, he might take 6 and 1/2 dozen. It's close in a lot of different ways. But Derrick White, they've relied on for like some 20+ point games here or there. And it's part of why I got duped into betting Derrick White's over in points a couple times, and it bit me during the series. But I'm glad to see he's finally come back around, and they're going to need him today. I am curious, because for as crazy as I think Game 7 in Boston would be, I think the Game 6 in Miami with those Heat fans in there is going to be as crazy. I mean, someone in the chat was just saying like Matthew Tkachuk, the Florida Panthers forward is there. And of course,
who is he going to be rooting for?
Well,
is he going to be rooting for the Heat or his high school teammate? That's my thing.
He doesn't care about Tatum.
Jason Tatum.
Make no mistake.
Teammates.
I mean, you got to imagine he's there to, yeah. And it's kind of like, it's going to have this vibe of like, we knocked out the Bruins and now, the Heat are going to knock, like, that's what the vibe is going to be in Miami. So I feel like it's going to be crazy. I don't know what people, I'm sure they're going to have their own people show up. I'm sure D Wade's going to be there, like, who knows? You know what?
Maybe you'll hurt somebody. They'll put him courtside and he'll trip somebody like Larry does in Curb.
I don't know. I think maybe we would have heard of it by now if he was, but it would not stun me if like LeBron was courtside for that. Like it would not stun me.
I would be stunned
if he was.
LeBron's too busy threatening to retire and then tweeting about Eric Lewis.
Sam, think about it this way: LeBron hates the Celtics more than anything. You don't think he would want to show up for?
I think he hates people not talking about him, which plays to your point. In fairness.
There you go. That's 2 big eights.
McLovin flew to Miami for the game, so
he did.
He's courtside with Chris Forsberg right now.
It would be kind of cool if he just booed the hell out of him.
That's amazing. Let's see. I will say, Sam is a hater himself. He can respect the consistency.
I respect hate when I see it.
I mean,
if you're good at hating, I respect it.
This is crazy.
He has been here every single time.
Yeah, consistent. I can respect the hate.
You want to talk about consistency? Look no further. every night pregame, we have the playoff pregame pick presented by Smash the Odds. Tonight, it is at Smash Odds on Twitter, by the way. Follow them, get the daily free picks. Under 209 for the game total. I have nothing to contribute other than if they get up, protect yourself, take insurance.
I think if it's under 209, the Celtics lose. So I hope it's not under 209.
You think so? See, every time the Celtics play defense, they win. So they're also something.
Their defense hasn't been like an 80-pointer this game. And if the Heat are scoring even if the Heat are scoring like 97, 99, I think the Celtics score like 110, 120.
Game 6 versus Miami, or Game 6 versus Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was kind of like that, right? It was low scoring. And I thought that Game 1 was going to be like that. I thought, Heat are coming in, and both of these teams, Celtics, of course, coming in off a 7-game series. I thought it was going to be a grind, and the Heat just went off from 3 that game. It was ridiculous. But I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like the Celtics are going to have to grind this one out, and that's the thing I'm most worried about, right? Is when you talk about winning 4 in a row. What's the hardest part about winning consecutive games in a series? Would you guys say? What's the most difficult part of winning just 4 straight?
Maybe just the mentality, like not thinking of the win you had last game. Like you just have to treat every game like a new one. On to the next.
So I think that what I would say is the biggest reason why a lot of teams don't win 4 straight is because eventually there's going to be a response to whatever your response was. There's going to be an adjustment that the other team can make. And they make an adjustment, and then you make an adjustment, and that's how a series goes back and forth. It's just a bunch of adjustments. And I worry about my biggest worry about their chances of coming back is I have to imagine at some point Eric Spoelstra is going to make some sort of adjustment that's going to work because he is a good coach. He is a really good coach, and I imagine he might be able to figure something out. That's what I'm worried about is eventually you talk about how the Celtics adjusted to the Heat. They slowed Bam down. You talk about that adjustment they made with Al on him. What is his response? And what's his response tonight? Because I imagine he's going to come with everything. And I think that it's going to be pretty good. And that's why I think the Celtics aren't necessarily going to, win a game like 120-99 here. I think they're going to have to grind it out.
Well, here's the problem with that. The Celtics not very good when they have to get baskets down the stretch. Not good at I mean, if you really want to have fun with it and be a hater, look at last game. They almost screwed the people that took their spread before the game. It was 8. And then they were letting a 20, 25-point lead get down, 10 at one point in the fourth quarter? 9? I mean, they are not good at closing games. Jack and I have had to talk about it all postseason. It's terrible. So if it's a close game, this is just a funny prediction to me. Why do you believe this? You think they survive? When have they survived? Game 6 against Philly. I think that's it. It doesn't mean I don't think that they're going to win or I don't have hope that they can win. But that is the situation where I believe they can win the least.
Fair. Jimmy, you're saying everyone picking the Heat tonight if everyone picks C's Game 7. Maybe really saying or everyone's been.
I think he's right.
He's picking the C's.
Except for Perk. Everybody has been. They won 2 games.
Perk hates the Celtics.
Perk's weird, but
what's the
seriously? They have been crowned champions after when they won Game 4. Everyone was like, "Oh, watch out!" It was like when the Lakers snuck in the playoffs, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're going to win the title." On ESPN.
Yeah, closer than I thought.
Well, you could say the same for the Celtics.
Yeah, that's fair.
Celtics are 2-point favorites tonight.
I think it opened at 2.5, if I remember right.
So it's up to 3.5, I believe.
Direct. Oh, did it open 3.5? That's even scarier. Yeah, I guess the you can kind of say that the smart money's on the Heat, that type of thing, and I get it. I think that this is going to be the hardest game for them to win of the series. I think that if they win this game and they come back to Boston 3 in a row, they have that energy, the Heat are going to be confident, but I think the Celtics are going to be 10 times more confident if they win this one. I just think it's going to be really, really difficult. I think that and one of the biggest reasons why when they were down 3-0, I had a hard time believing they would come back is because my belief was if you blow a 3-0 lead, you have to be pretty mentally weak to throw a 3-0 lead. And I do not consider the Miami Heat to be that. So I don't know. I think that who said it? Charles Barkley rarely makes good points, but he did after Game 5. He said, when the Celtics play their best, the Heat can't play with them. They're just too good for the Heat. And I think that's probably true to a large extent. And I just wonder what's going to win out. The Celtics' talent and how much better they are than the Heat, or the Heat's mental fortitude.
I think it's tough because I don't think the Heat have necessarily stopped trying the last two games.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, I think it's just the Celtics' talent took over. But I do think somebody said it earlier in the chat. I'm not going to find it, that like this is going to be Heat's best punch tonight. And I think it's true. And Sam said before the game, and there was another comment in the chat that's like, this is Miami's game 7, right? The last thing you want for even the most mentally tough team like the Heat, who they probably are the mentally toughest team in the league. The last thing you want is backs against the wall, a team that we've been saying it all series and people can mad at us. It is objectively more talented than the Heat, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Having all of the momentum heading into a game 7, and it's never been done before. Only 3 teams in the history of basketball have gotten it back to a game 7.
Yeah.
But all of them were on the road. And the Celtics will be at TD Garden, and game 5 was the loudest I've ever heard TD Garden. That's just not a situation you want to be in if you're the Heat. So it's going to be a tough one. And game 7, if they get there, is what I'm saying. Game 6, though, Jimmy said it after game 5. He's like, we're not losing the series. And so you bet your ass Jimmy Butler and the Heat are coming out with a passion tonight.
If I had to guess, Jimmy's going to take more than 10 shots.
Yes, and Hero's not playing, by the way, and this is also true.
Much to my shock.
Yeah, I'm not like I won't like parse words here. I want it so bad. I mean, I want it so bad for them to come back, and I think that it will be an interesting one because I don't know that it will necessarily be remembered as one of the epic comebacks of all time. I feel like it'll more so be remembered as this team was really good. We don't know what happened those first 3 games, and then they just won. But by the same token, I also feel like this was the only way a 3-0 comeback was going to happen in the NBA. If something like an 8 seed went up on a 2 seed 3-0, and then the 2 seeds started playing well again. And I was thinking more so from the standpoint of like maybe there was an injury, like when the Bucks were playing the Heat in that series. I was like, if they go down 3-0 and they get Giannis back, like maybe they could be the first team to come back from a 3-0 lead. And of course, it didn't work out for them. But I feel like this would be the type of situation. It's not like in basketball, maybe it'll happen one day, but it usually just doesn't work that way where it's just some crazy underdog story and they come back from 3-0. But this could be the time it happens. It could be in this type of scenario makes the most sense for it to be a comeback.
Yeah, I agree. This is also true. Ben saying if the Heat role players aren't hitting the shots, they're screwed. We'll know in the first 4 minutes. In the same vein with that, who put
we'll know if the Celtics are trying, I would say.
But John saying starting Caleb Martin makes me feel like the Heat have less depth. And this is also
that.
very true. They don't have much more depth on the bench. If they are starting Caleb Martin.
Everyone's playing 44 minutes then, That could be
very true. Also, I would push back at this a little bit. Jimmy can't beat you with physicality, only mental. I think he can beat you with physicality. He's a pretty strong guy.
He's pretty tough, yeah.
That being said, like, as much as you look at the first round and say, oh, Jimmy carried them by himself, like, Jimmy cannot win the game by himself. Even in the Bucks series, right? You had guys stepping up, making big shots.
Caleb
Gabe
Martin
Vincent
made some
shoot
big
well.
shots in that game 4 where Jimmy had 56.
Duncan Robinson made a bunch of threes, right? Like, they have guys on the, on the outskirts who have played well. And for the Celtics' credit, they've defended Jimmy Butler well these last 2 games. And if Grant Williams is blocking you, then Jimmy Butler's going to be mad, though. So we'll put that out into the ether as well. He's probably not going to be too happy heading into this one. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I think he comes out red hot in the sense that he's going to be pissed at the very least. But it's going to be an interesting game.
How do you kind of explain and who do you credit for the performance of the Heat role players in this postseason?
What do you mean?
Like, do you give credit to Eric Spoelstra? Do you credit the players themselves? Credit to the Heat front office for drafting and finding these guys? Like, where is it coming from? And who's
Spoelstra?
A mix of everything. Like, the front office for identifying the talent, Spoelstra and the staff for developing them, and then the players for being willing to like feed into the mindset. I think it's just like probably the best system. Have a good day, really. Good luck to you. But no.
So how do you explain the level of play kind of rising in the playoffs? Like them being, they were, if it wasn't for the play-in, they'd be a 7 seed. So then people saying they're 8 seed, yes, they are, but they slipped.
I think it's corny. and overdone, but as much as you like scoff at it every time you hear it, I think it is just Heat culture. Just get up when it matters. That's just the mindset
Somebody should teach
their
the
players. Yeah,
it's funny because I think people like give the Heat this credit for like being this, blue collar team that plays the right way and does things the right way, right? But like, let me ask you this, and this is going to be I shouldn't say this. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. I'll say it to you guys after, but I'll phrase it like this. Aren't the Heat doing the same thing that a lot of people give a hard time to the Clippers for not trying during the regular season, then they just like turn it on during the playoffs? Now, to the Heat's credit, it's actually working for them. The Clippers never actually are able to turn it on in the playoffs, but don't you think it's that thing of the regular season doesn't matter that a lot of people don't like?
I don't think it's the same because I think the Heat like didn't intentionally sit guys. Like people just genuinely got hurt for them all season. And I don't think they weren't trying in the regular season. I just think like mentally they just were like they weren't as amped up, which is kind of a natural thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Clippers, like they will schedule times for people to sit. They will say, okay, you're sitting here, you'll do this, you'll do this. So I don't necessarily think it's the same, but I understand the mindset. But with that being said, and Jimmy J echoing Sam's point of Highsmith and Robinson popping off, it is almost time for tip off. So we will get on out of here. Anything you guys want to say before we head out?
If you're sharing the Tatum dunk online today, you're lame. You're a loser. It's meaningless.
If somebody comes out on the Celtics with a sock with just a little bit of red on it, I don't know. It could be a marker. It could be something.
They deserve to lose by 30 if they do that.
No. I will mess with it. I want to see Kurt Schilling waving around a bloody sock in the first row of this game. As much as on most days I don't want to see Kurt Schilling because he's kind of gone off the deep end. But today I want to see him there in Miami.
Everyone hype in the chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. The Celtics Heat game is getting ready to tip off right about now. Appreciate you guys. New pod will be dropping at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Hopefully we will see you guys before Game 7. Check the channel. You know what's up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Leave a like.